Alright my G's, nice and easy today. 5 tips how to make your bass line have better flow, how to make your bass line move better, how to make your bass line roll better, how to make your bass line more fun, more flowing, more wonderful. Alright, so here is a cheeky little bass loop that I've got. I'm going to play the final result first and then I'm going to break down 5 things I did so that it can have a better flow. And for this tutorial, I've used the drum break, which I created yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video, you can have a look over there to see how I made this beat, how I composed it. But now let's listen with the new bass line added in. Alright, so the first thing I did was I loaded up a Vital patch, and it's one from actually an older YouTube tutorial from a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, called American Bad Boy. It's a patch I made a while ago. Really nice sound. And the first thing I wanted to do, the first tip actually, to make your bass line have more flow, is to use a dotted rhythm rather than a straight rhythm. Now, this is something that I often do in drum and bass. It's just I prefer the dotted rhythms to the straight ones in bass lines usually, you know, because if you've got a bass line like this, I'm just going to keep the note very simple now, just in D. My beat has already got so much flow and vibe to it, you know. If I do just a standard rhythm like 1/4 just straight, you know, it's not too bad. If I do a faster one at 1/8 for example, 1/8 for example, also not too bad. But if I switch that up to a dotted rhythm, and for this one I'm using the 8th notes dotted, has much more flow. And what I do to keep the phrasing a little bit more predictable and in time is I just repeat it. I repeat the note halfway through the 4 bars, so the 8th note dotted will repeat itself. It will start over again, you know. So it's almost like you get a little fast double note here when it just before it repeats. But already just choosing a dotted note rhythm rather than a straight one. First easy way to make your bass line have more flow. Alright, so that's number 1. Now, to get things way more interesting and more flowy, we're going to put a better melody in. So tip number 2 is compose a better melody. And we just loop this part over here for the time being. And for this melody, I've basically the root note is D, and I just employ kind of 3 sort of tricks. So first one is an octave jump, so that creates a bit of tension already, just going from a low D up to a high D. And then the second 2 notes you have after here are an F and then an A, and that creates a minor triad. So the D, the F and the A that's keeping things in the scale, in like a minor scale. So tip 2, create some nice melody and use some simple tricks like octave jumps, a minor triad movement, and this last movement here is a chromatic movement. Basically I go up a semitone here to introduce a bit of tension, and then resolve down here at this G. So sort of 3 different types of melodic techniques going on there. And if you loop that, I mean, sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes tracks in 1 note are great. But obviously you've got a bit more flow when you put a nice melody on it, right? Tip number 3 is add variations to your melody. So you made a great melody like that, but next time when you repeat it, I'm going to do a different variation. And sometimes I think a quick tip that I have for creating variations is just to switch a couple of notes around. So I had this, the first part is still the same, the D and then the octave jump, right? But the second part here where I had this minor triad, before I had this sort of F going up to A, this time I'm going to drop to the A and then down to the F instead. So simple way to add variation, just changing the almost the inversion of the chord or the order that it's played, the contour of the melody, changing the melody's contour. Same melody, different contour. And then at the end, a similar kind of thing with the chromatic part where instead of going sort of from, I think I go from the A sharp down to the G, this time I do the G first for longer and then quickly go up to the A sharp. So just inverting some of the notes. And then if you listen to the whole loop now, it's great to have that variation in there for the second part. So same idea, same melody, but different contour. I like that word, contour. Makes me think of sort of a scattergraph. Not a scattergraph, like a laser grid with contours when you're designing like a map on like a CAD or Far Cry 2. Anyway, I've gone mental, haven't I? He's gone mental. Someone shoot him. All right, next. So that was the 3 tips so far. So we've got 2 left, right? So number 1, use dotted notes more in drum and bass because it flows better. It just does. Number 2, put some kind of melody into your bass line at least, for goodness sake. Number 3, when you've done that cool melody, don't have it always repeating. Have variations of it, right? That'll help with your flow of your track. Mucho gracias. And then tip number 4 is basically where I go into a brain melt and a brain fart and I forget. No, tip number 4 is glide, yeah? There's already glide on here. You can see down here, but if I take the glide off, bit more robotronic, isn't it? Dum 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 dum, you know? But switching that lovely glide back on nice and high around, well, not super high. I mean, you'll never get up there in time if you have it too high, but enough so you can hear a bit of the glide, you know? That helps with the flow because then you've got an extra aspect to the sound where not only have you got a nice melody, but you've also got a nice little transition between the melodic notes as well. So glide, always wonderful, even if just a little bit, even if you can barely hear that it's doing it, it's still probably better than not doing it at all, just for the flow. All right, and then finally, one last little thing I've done here is a macro to open up and close the actual bass sound a bit. So simple thing you can do to open up and close the bass. Whatever you're using, slap on a bit of chorus or slap on a bit of reverb and open that up via a macro here. Yeah, so I've got a chorus down here tracked to my macro which opens up here, and same with the reverb as well. A similar thing for the where is it, the reverb down, is it? No, it's at the top, isn't it? Yeah, the reverb, mix that in a bit on the macro, and a little bit on my flanger as well, just because I didn't want the flanger to feel left out. But yeah, opening and closing the whole macro then will open up a bit of reverb, open up a bit of chorus, not too much, not too crazy, just enough so that when it cuts back down to 0, it like restarts, you know? So if you pay attention and listen to how I've drawn the macro to open up, and pay attention specifically to when it switches back down to 0, that's the key point, is where the movement kind of like snaps back to being tight again, you know? You could go more extreme with this if you want. I've done it in a subtle way, but it's definitely in a way where the energy sort of loosens a bit and then tightens up. So you increase the flow of the bass line because it's got an extra level of of dynamism then, you know? So playing that again with the beat again one more time just for the people at the back. All right, I saw it was glitching out in my camera there. I wonder if it recorded that. Praise God that OBS has finally managed to record the whole video though, because those of you who followed my channel closely recently will notice that I've had an editing nightmare where I record so many videos and I assume that they all record fine, and I often upload them to YouTube without doing a final check, just because sometimes I don't have enough time, and then I realise it's already on YouTube and OBS has completely cut out the recording halfway through. Oh dear. You know, I go back and re-edit it and re-upload it, so don't worry. As long as you guys get the information, I think that it's all good, right? So anyway, thanks for watching that today. Hope you learned a little bit about how to have your bass line get a better flow. How to have your bass line get a better flow. And I'm reading Russian literature and English literature, and I'm speaking like a 2-year-old. All right, anyway, much love, my G's. More from me very soon. Make sure you check out my links down below as well to my production lessons, my Discord community, my preset packs, my email for mastering and mixing and mastering services and DJing services. Aside from that, my G's, make sure you like and subscribe. More from me very soon. Much love.